Yeah, good question and a big question. So I've been suggesting in my talk last night at the Justice Conference that our English translations of the Bible, when confronted with the Greek word dikaios, dikaiosune, and so forth, typically translated as righteousness, whereas the Romance languages translate it with justitia, justitia, and so forth, and what the issues there are. So that issue first came to my mind. Let me start differently. When I was a college student, I learned Greek. And I learned Greek by first studying classical Greek and reading Plato, reading Plato's Republic. Now, in Plato's Republic, this dikstem word in all its grammatical variations occurs hundreds and hundreds of times. And if you yourself have read Plato's Republic in English, you'll know that it's all about justice. So I just took it that dikaios, dikaiosune was justice. Then I come to reading the New Testament, I come across the same word with great frequency, over 300 times in the New Testament, and I noticed to my surprise that now it's getting translated by the English translators as righteousness. In Plato, it's translated as justice, and the New Testament is translated as righteousness. Now that pricks up one's curiosity, right? What's going on here? So I suppose part of what's going on is that in the 300 years or so, plus years between Plato and the New Testament, the word may have changed its meaning a little bit. Probably it meant something sort of vague like this: going right or doing right. So you're going to have to, in context, now you're confronted with getting that into English. You're confronted with then having to decide how to translate it, and pretty much context is going to have to decide for you, because as to whether you should translate it as upright, righteous, or as just and justice. Context is going to have to decide. Now, what we've got in English is two options. We've got justice coming from the Latin, and we've got righteousness coming from the Old German, Recht. The Romance languages don't have that option. They don't have the German Recht. The only thing they can do is translate it as justice, but we've got this option. So why did our translators choose righteousness, given the option? It may have been that over the centuries, it probably is the case that over the centuries, this word righteousness changed its meaning a bit. So that once it still had the overtones of the German Recht, some of you know German, and changed into righteousness. That could be. But I think it's very hard to avoid the conclusion that there's a kind of spiritualizing at work in the English translations of the New Testament, in which they prefer rectitude or righteousness to justice. Here, so far as I can discern a pattern, here's the pattern. When the New Testament is clearly talking about criminal justice, the translators are willing, when they use dikaiosune to talk about criminal justice, the translators translate it as justice. When the New Testament writers use dikaiosune and they're talking about social matters, they translate it as righteousness. I just find that highly suspicious. Does that help a little bit? So you've got to go by the context. And last night I said, take, for example, the Beatitude in Matthew, blessed are those who are persecuted for the sake of dikaiosune. All the translations that you can buy say persecuted for the sake of righteousness. And my argument there is, put your head to it. Persecuted for the sake of being upright. Do you know of any upright people who are persecuted? I don't. My acquaintance, as I put it, was my sense of upright people is that they're either ignored or admired. Oh, I mean, they may be a little bit annoying, you know, because it's a really good person, I mean, you know, but you don't persecute them. Last night, it's the lawyer Dionisio in Honduras who's struggling for justice against the security company who gets assassinated. Does that go some way towards answering? Does it really help to know that how Plato is translated on the same word? Yep. Right. Same word in Plato and in the New Testament. And that's what first piqued my curiosity, what's going on here.